now. We the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard. Closing scoreboard for the 2020 postseason. We're going to continue the scoreboard throughout the offseason, but we have some big plans. But we have some stuff to recap because it's been a tumultuous season for both the NFL as well as for us. And we're going to start with us. So we have been betting on games all season. Smokey, first of all, how are you doing? And I know the answer, but how did our predictions turn out?
Not good. And this actually made us tie because you had to go with the Bucs, and that actually worked out for you. You know, you weren't. I mean, obviously, neither one of us were expecting that. I don't think anyone in the country expected the outcome that happened, but
not the way that the game went.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah, so actually, the exact same as last season. We ended in a tie once again. Like, that's kind of crazy to think about.
That's crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
How does that happen twice in a row? And I was leading, like, for most part of the season, too. Like, how do I get that up?
Yeah, I think you did that last year as well.
I might have.
I came back on you at the very end.
Hero calls.
Yeah.
Late down the season, and the playoffs I actually caught up to you with the Super Bowl pick, which was forced upon me. So let's talk about this game. So, what was your first impression
of the entire game?
Yeah, just like walk us through how you absorbed the game.
Well, I'll tell you, man. It's tough because is Brady really the GOAT? I mean, I guess Brady is the GOAT. I mean, nobody can apparently beat him except for Eli Manning in a Super Bowl game.
Nick Foles,
yeah, that's right. But other than that, I mean, this guy now has 7 Super Bowl wins. And I don't know, man. I think it's some kind of voodoo. Like, I don't get it. I don't even understand football right now. When I watch how these playoffs in general played out, it makes me not understand football. Because I thought for sure the best teams would make it to the Super Bowl. And from the looks of it, you know, you can say what you want about the Chiefs, but the way they played in the second half of the season, I don't think they were the best team in the AFC. I think it was the Bills. But the Bucs definitely were not, you know, and you could also chalk that up to, okay, they're peaking at the right time. But it was also obvious in this game right here that these refs are going to lean toward Tom Brady no matter what. Whatever team Tom Brady is on, because that guy makes money, these refs are going to lean in favor with penalties and whatnot. And we're going to make sure, even push the ball downfield past the first down marker if we have to. We're going to make sure Tom Brady is that. Now, I know this game was a blowout, so maybe you can't chalk that up to the refs, you know, blatantly calling more penalties against the Chiefs than the Buccaneers. But there's also momentum. And when a team starts racking up, you know, Tyrann Mathieu, when a team starts racking up penalties like that, it kills the momentum and lets the other team just swings in their favor. And the Chiefs never got off the ground in this game. They were behind the 8 ball this entire game and never even made it look like any attempt. That O-line is horrible. What happened? I mean, I know there's some injuries. Yeah, they were beat up, but that is not the O-line that played the Bills. Like, you can say what you want. Maybe it's Tampa Bay's defense. Yes, Tampa Bay had a great defense. Not the best, but a great defense. And when it comes down to it, man, the same thing happened here. The Chiefs did to the Bills what the Bucs did to the Chiefs in this game. All of a sudden, you get on that field and your receivers don't remember how to catch the ball. You can't run on them. Well, there was not much running in this entire game. I think the first half, the biggest run was like 11 yards, I think Fournette had. But let's talk about Fournette for a second. Fournette actually was great in this game. And this is a guy that everyone gave up on. And I think he's going to get a new contract because of this. Because in the playoffs this season, Fournette looks like the Fournette everybody saw coming out of LSU, whereas Clyde Edwards-Helaire not so much. You know, I think Fournette, after this game, you know, going into next season, he's going to get a good contract and land somewhere with a starting role. If the Bucs don't sign him again and let Ronald Jones go or something like that, I think he'll be a starter next season. I think Tom Brady, the only hope we could have for Tom Brady is he says, okay, I finally got enough, and retires. I don't think that's going to happen. I think as long as he can walk, he's going to play until he's 50 because he thinks he's going to be able to win a championship every season that he's on the field. So we're not getting rid of Tom Brady. Leonard Fournette has a starting job. On the other side of the ball, man, I don't know. Kelsey had a few chunk plays, and Tyreek Hill, you know, had a couple where he broke some tackles. Other than that, nothing. When they got into the red zone, nothing. Couldn't score to save their lives. Field goals. 3 field goals in this entire game is the only offensive scoring that the Chiefs had, or scoring at all. Definitely no defensive scoring. Just can't stop Tom Brady. Overall, I'm disappointed. I don't like this outcome, but there's nothing I can do about it. So all I can do at this point is just to sit back and say, okay, Tom Brady's the GOAT. I guess I'm going to have to deal with that. Tom Brady's the GOAT. How do you feel?
So I also don't like the outcome. I tend to like the Chiefs generally, so I was rooting for them to win. I like Patrick Mahomes. But in terms of the game, the best play that the Chiefs made all game was calling the coin toss, and they won it. That's the best thing they did in terms of performance all game. This was not a Super Bowl team. This was not a playoff team out there. And this reminds me of a team that I've been talking about seemingly every week with the exact same problem, which is the Packers, which is that they are fundamentally not a very good team. Now, the Chiefs are a much better team than the Packers are in almost every regard, but they're plagued by the same problem, and we saw it in this particular game. They have an all-time quarterback, one of the best to ever play talent-wise. 2 of the most gifted quarterbacks of all time are currently in the league, in Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, and they make a good team look like the best team ever, and they make a bad team look like a serviceable team. And there's a lot of exact specific differences between teams like them and the Buccaneers, and we can compare that because they played each other, obviously. If you look at the Buccaneers, you said they're not the best team. I think they are easily the best team in the league. It's not even close. If you look at the names, the star power, the accolades on the players on this team, this is an all-star team. This is a Pro Bowl roster on the Buccaneers. Look at the defense. You got Ndamukong Suh, you got JPP, Shaq Barrett, Vita Vea, Devin White. You have all-pro potential at Levante David, all pros all over the team. And you look on offense as well. We've said this might be the most stacked offense that we've ever seen. You know, 3 to 4 number 1 receivers, 2 number 1 tight ends, 2 number 1 running backs, and the most experienced quarterback, playoff experienced quarterback in the league. This is a super team. This is the Warriors from 3 years ago, but as a football team. They're like 20 people. This is easily the best roster, and they've been underachieving all season, frankly, for who they have on their team. Compared to the Chiefs, not that amount of talent. Offensively, defensively, it's not there. In terms of performance, and this is kind of an indictment for the Chiefs roster, but the most impressive player of the entire game, to me, is Patrick Mahomes. Given the entire score, he's the player that stood out to me the most, that made the most plays, did the best of everyone I saw. And that includes, all the Tampa defense. It includes Rob Gronkowski, who would have thought that he would be the man of the game in Super Bowl in 2021 after coming out of retirement, after being a WWE wrestler. No one would have expected that. Patrick Mahomes was the best, maybe we shouldn't say best looking at stats, but the most impressive player on the field. And if we replace him with anyone, like an average quarterback, oh Lord, this was a bad performance by the team. And you mentioned the offensive line, of course. Tom Brady was pressured on like 6% of the snaps Patrick Mahomes is pressure on like 60% of the snaps. Like, you can't win a game like that. You can't even keep a game like that close. It's impossible, no matter who your quarterback is. And as for Brady retiring or staying in the league, why would he retire? He's on the best team the most talented team potentially that has ever existed in the NFL. It's exactly what he needs. It's exactly what he's had in New England that allowed him to be successful. Best defense in the league. Ferocious running game. He can take it easy, hand the ball off well. He can throw it well. Operate within the system. He knows he has the playmakers. He has the protection. He has the security of the defense around him. There's no reason to retire from this because it's the best situation that a quarterback can be in. And that's what Tom Brady is the best at. Here's what Tom Brady is the GOAT at getting himself in the best possible situation in terms of coaching, in terms of team. If the Patriots, after a while, didn't spend enough draft capital, didn't give him enough talent around him, I'm going to go somewhere else. Someone's building a super team, and all they can ask for is a super experienced quarterback who's not going to make mistakes, who you know exactly what you're going to get. That's what he's the best at. And there is no reason for him to leave. And there's no reason for Gronk to leave. You know, they are on the best team. They should stick around and they should try to make it count. Go for another ride. And for Kansas City, this wasn't exposing. I mean, this did not look good. You mentioned they were kind of shaky. They didn't really look like they did the past 2 years when they were just dominating and we had almost no doubts. But this year, it wasn't quite the same. And he said that the Bills potentially were the better team in the AFC. I would agree with that. I think the Bills were the most complete team in the AFC. Would have been probably a closer game if it happened, the Bills and the Buccaneers, just because they were more evenly matched in many terms. And Patrick Mahomes was completely overworked. I mean, he threw for more yards than Tom Brady. He had almost twice the attempts as Tom Brady because that's what he was forced to do. And this time, he couldn't be that galaxy brain hero player that no one else could ever do. It wasn't enough for him to pull it out. And this Chiefs team has to rework it. Now, they shouldn't take it too seriously because this is the second time, should have been the third time in a row that they went to the Super Bowl in 3 years. That 3 year ago one, they lost to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game, controversially. And in terms of one thing you mentioned, the ref controversy, let's call it a controversy. Yes, there is no doubt that the story writes itself. Home Super Bowl, you have that all-star team, all the returning players. There is no doubt that the NFL likes to see Tampa Bay go to and win the Super Bowl in their own stadium. I have no doubt that that's the case. And if it were a 50-50, like a coin flip, their decisions would go Tampa Bay's way. There is no doubt about that. However, I will say this. It didn't matter. It did not matter at all. This was a blowout. You mentioned this. It didn't matter what the refs did because there was no way the Chiefs were winning this game. They were completely outperformed. It did not matter. If you want to point a finger at that and make that a topic, you go back to the NFC Championship game because that was a lot closer. And there we had some iffy calls. And even then, I would put the blame on the Packers, on anyone basically but Aaron Rodgers and Jair Alexander, who were the only two NFL-worthy players in that game, bar none on the Packers. And this is a very similar situation we've had there with the Chiefs. So I won't talk about that too much. Yes, there is no doubt the NFL has an interest in what happened. No, it would not have gone differently if they didn't. So that's kind of my take on that. But what do you think about the future for those two teams, as I've kind of hinted at?
Well, I'm wondering if this is... I mean, I can't say the downfall of the Chiefs here, because they're still a very, very talented offense, and they still have Patrick Mahomes, possibly the best quarterback in the league. Maybe after this season, everybody's going to put him back up under Aaron Rodgers, whereas a lot of people probably had him above.
He's number 1.5.
Yeah.
He's 1.5 on the list. That's what he
exactly. Till Deshaun Watson gets his new team, and then... But that
if it's San Francisco, if it's Kyle Shanahan, I'm making no guarantees. He's going to crack the top three instantly. But right now, he's Mahomes is 1.5.
Yeah, and I see this as you said they are exposed, and they definitely were exposed. And maybe going into the future, that could be the downfall of their dominance in the AFC. That people saw the format right there of how to beat the Chiefs. Maybe. We could blame some of it on Patrick Mahomes' foot. He's having surgery now. But like you said, he was still the best player on the field. So I think whether you want them to expect zone coverage and hit them with man coverage, which seems to be the working fashion here. I think that's the format on how you beat the Chiefs, and I guarantee you, everybody in the AFC who has to play them next season is going to study the Super Bowl and use that tactic. They're going to run they're going to run man coverage or whatever. I don't know, man. I was so flustered that I wasn't studying too much on the defensive strategy here. I was just screaming at the TV for most of it, to tell you the truth. But I think that's it, though. That's the format to beat the Chiefs. Everybody's going to study it, and this could be the downfall. Now, they're probably still a playoff team next season, maybe not as dominant as they are right now. As for the Chiefs, for the Bucs, yeah, Tom Brady is definitely going to be back. I can't see him leaving. He'll be back next season. They're hopefully going to sign Leonard Fournette, and Ronald Jones probably ends up somewhere else. I'm thinking most of that receiving core, if Tom Brady can talk Gronk into coming back for one more season, maybe we'll have another year of that, because as weird as it was,
he will.
Yeah, I think so. As weird as it was, though, Gronk looked like the old Gronk in this game. Gronk ended up with 2 touchdowns in this game. That is not a stat we expected from Gronk at the end of the season. And at the beginning of the season, everyone would have expected O.J. Howard more than Gronk. But that's it. O.J. Howard's going to be back next season if they can figure out cap space to go ahead and work a deal with him, because I think he's 4 seasons in at this point. But if you have, and Dara mentioned this name, but if you have O.J. Howard and Gronk on the same team together, that's almost a semblance of Aaron Hernandez and Gronk being on the same team, whereas you can utilize 2 massively talented passing tight ends or catching tight ends and run that offense that Tom Brady loves to run, where you can just throw it over the middle as much as you want, because you have 2 bodies out there. If you're running a 12 personnel, 2 bodies that can just go out and get it for you no matter where you throw it. So I think the Bucs are still going to be dominant next season. We'll see how free agency plays out. They definitely can't pay everybody, but I think they have the formula to win and to beat most. And it's probably going to be a battle between, well, actually, I can't even say that anymore. No one knows what the Saints are going to look like with Jameis Winston as quarterback, which I think he will be the quarterback starting next season. I don't think it's going to be Taysom Hill. So they may just own this division until Tom Brady leaves, and we'll probably see lots more of the Bucs in the playoffs.
Oh, we will for sure. And they don't even have to pay that many people. If you think about the heart and soul of this team, it starts and ends with the defense for Tampa Bay, like it did for New England. You got a full defensive backfield on rookie contracts. You got your best linebacker, Devin White, on rookie contract. You got Vita Vea, I still think, on rookie contract for a year. You're getting away pretty cheaply for having basically a full Pro Bowl defense there. A lot of young talent. There's no better moment to use that than now to pay your star power on offense and essentially create the super team that they have. And they're going to be doing that, and I'm curious to see how the division develops. Of course, there's some rumors still with the Panthers potentially being in the market for a quarterback. How's the Saints going to look? Is it going to be Jameis Winston? And the Falcons are arguably also in the mix for either trading for or drafting a quarterback. A lot of revolutionizing going on with those 3 teams in that division. Tampa Bay has to be feeling good about taking another division title next year, as they're basically set, right? They have all their guys in place, and they have the most talent of any team in the league in place. As for Kansas City, Kansas City will never be not good as long as Patrick Mahomes is playing there. Listen, Patrick Mahomes is Aaron Rodgers, same kind of situation, and the worst case scenario is Aaron Rodgers. The worst thing that could happen to Kansas City is that they make the playoffs every year. They go to 3 or 4 Super Bowls, or at least AFC Championship games. And then in the situations like we've had, these types of things happen, where a team comes in that's so stacked, anywhere else except quarterback, they're completely outmatched. and Mahomes can't pull out the miracle. Like the situation for Aaron Rodgers. That is the floor for Kansas City for the next 10 years. So they'll be back in the playoffs, in the championship game, in the Super Bowl. I have no doubt they will. We might see this matchup again, but there's a lot of teams that are shaping up to be knocking on that door. So it's not going to be a given by any means. Like I said last year, I said that I suspect it's going to be Chiefs-Niners again. Now, Niners, of course, injuries galore, so there was no way that was going to happen. Can you imagine that NFC Championship game? That last year's 49ers team healthy against this year's Buccaneers team?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's the Pro Bowl right there. That is a Hall of Fame. Like, that would have been incredible. So new Matthew Stafford in LA now for next year. They're going to be contending.
Tough division, man. That is one tough division.
The NFC West is going to be brutal. Like, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. Speaking though of the NFC West, just one off topic that I want to get into. Russell Wilson apparently not too happy in Seattle. There's rumors floating around about him not being too content, complaining about getting hit too much. Have you picked up on any of that, and how much merit do you think that holds?
I don't see Russell Wilson going anywhere. I mean, yeah, we see this every offseason. You know, there's rumors that fly around, and sometimes there is weight. I mean, look at Matt Stafford, but Seattle is another one of those teams that is absolutely nothing without the quarterback. Russell Wilson is the good player. You know, I put a lot on DK Metcalf also. But on that offense, it's DK Metcalf, who is a developing, really good wide receiver who could be as good as maybe even a Julio. You know, don't kill me if I'm just a messenger. But maybe that good one day. And Russell Wilson, who has been phenomenal his entire career, you know, and played in 2 Super Bowls, won one of them. I can't see the Seahawks letting Russell Wilson go. Now, I admit the team has gone stagnant, you know, running this Pete Carroll scheme that he's got going. Like, the entire defense has fell apart from their glory days. That is not the Legion of Boom anymore. That's the Legion of Gloom over there. They do not have any of those pieces left, not a single one. The team is definitely stagnant. They need to do something. They need to shake something up. And you know, well, they I guess Pete Carroll's hoping that firing Schottenheimer is going to do it. So they're going to have a new offensive coordinator next season. And apparently Carroll says we need to run the ball more. And from what I saw this season, when they were winning is when Russell Wilson was throwing the ball. You know, he doesn't want to, Russell Wilson doesn't want to run anymore. You know, I'm sure he wants to pass downfield. I can understand, his frustration there. He was getting beat up. That offensive line needs help. They need to draft well and get some offensive line help in free agency. And they really need to shake that offense up. I think Russell Wilson needs to pass more. I don't know why Pete Carroll doesn't trust him passing more, but I don't think in the end Russell Wilson is going anywhere. I think the Seahawks are going to make every move they can to try to keep Russell Wilson.
For sure. He's one of the like half a dozen people in the league that are just untradeable, and that's end of discussion. There's not that many people like him, and we're seeing Matthew Stafford traded potentially to Deshaun Watson. Like we've heard about Aaron Rodgers. That's getting into the territory where I don't reasonably see him going anywhere because, like you said, he's the most important part of that team, for sure. But I think it's kind of a double-sided coin there. For one, Seattle. You got to go back to the roots of what made you successful over so many years, and you kind of fallen off a little bit with that. The defense was not good to start the season. Russell Wilson was great, and in the second half of the season, the switch kind of flipped because the defense came back to form, but Russell Wilson didn't play well for the last 8 games or so, and it didn't really pan out. Kind of disappointing playoff loss. So the pieces, the talent is still there to a degree. It's kind of Green Bay light, to where the roster certainly is not as good as you would think with their results, because Russell Wilson is making the better, but there's still a much more talented roster overall than, say, Green Bay is, for example, who are just completely getting bailed out by an all-time quarterback. So Seattle's got to keep it together. But on the other side of the coin, I would say Russell Wilson also has kind of a stake in that because if you're Russell Wilson, you're not the youngest quarterback anymore, right? He's in his 30s now, right? He's getting up there, and one thing you could do is stop, spinning back and forth 4 times, dropping 30 yards steep on every single play, acting like you have to do it, like Aaron Rodgers does, or like Patrick Mahomes did in the Super Bowl. You don't have to do it because you have enough playmakers. You can be in a 3rd and 10, in a 3rd and 8, in a 3rd and 12, and you'll be fine, right? Aaron Rodgers almost barely can unless he gets Devontae Adams in some insane route, or manages to scramble for it first. So if you're Russell Wilson, take it easier. Go back to running. I would say go back to running the ball, not running it with the quarterback. Establish another run game based off of that. I think a lot of the mistakes that have arisen is exactly the opposite of what you said, or the problems that Seattle has been seeing is them trying to force the pass, force Russell Wilson. They drafted all these receivers, all that great talent in the passing game. Go build that running game again. Go build that offensive line again. Go get the running back, and then complement that with the supreme quarterback of Russell Wilson. Top 5 in the league, you're going to be a fantastic team. But they're making the mistake a little bit of becoming that monolith, that quarterback monolith, where you see Green Bay being the perfect example of that. And it looked like the Chiefs were that in the Super Bowl. They're not there by any means at this point. Where you're like, we have this quarterback, this generational quarterback who's like the greatest we've ever had. We're fine. Whatever we do whatever the hell we want. We can slack off. We have the guy to bail us out, and that's how Green Bay treats Aaron Rodgers, and that's how you can't treat your guy, because better teams will come along, and at some point he'll be overworked. So Seattle got to get back in the tank. They have to keep it together. I think Russell Wilson wants to stay in Seattle, but I understand that such an influential player, who's such a key central part to the team, wants some more input, like Deshaun Watson did. He didn't get it, and now he's on his way out. So we'll see how that ends. I don't really buy into any serious rumors for Russell Wilson. He's not going anywhere. I think he's sticking around. He's supposed to be in Seattle, whether I like it or not. They're gonna be just fine.
Yeah, I think so.
As for Deshaun Watson, not much news. We talked about Matthew Stafford, but we are definitely going to keep you updated on the quarterback carousel as we go throughout the offseason. There's potentially a lot happening. We're talking. There is rumors swirling around that big quarterback moves are coming this offseason. You could look at anything from up to 8 to 14 different names being thrown out there in potential conversation. I mean, try to name 10 starting quarterbacks that are not, or like even 5 to 10 starting quarterbacks that are not in any sort of discussion, any sort of rumor involving their future or potential trade. I mean, it's crazy this year, so we may see a lot go down. So we'll see how that turns out, and we're going to be covering that for the future. But today, kind of a short episode. Do you have anything to add, first of all, for the Super Bowl, the season, the future, the draft, whatever you want to talk about?
Man, I think that covers it. Are we going to talk about the honors?
Oh, we can talk about the honors real quick. Yeah,
okay.
We can do that. That's fine. So, I don't know. Did you keep a tally on any of us doing better? Like, do we do that as a competition? I kind of had 2 of my picks be a little bit out there.
Yeah, I think
with Fred Warner and Wyatt Teller.
You picked Chase Young and Justin Herbert, which was correct.
True.
I guess neither one of us got the coaching right. You picked Sean McDermott, and I picked Bruce Arians.
Should have been Sean McDermott.
I mean, I kind of agree with you. I just thought that they would go with Bruce Arians because he's with Tom Brady,
Stefanski's fine. Should have been McDermott.
Derrick Henry.
Because I had money on it.
Yeah. I picked Derrick Henry, and I can't remember your pick. I'd have to go back and look. But
I picked Wyatt Teller.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, you knew that was a long shot. Yeah.
Yes, I did.
I picked T.J. Watt for Defensive Player of the Year, and I also had written on here that it could possibly be Aaron Donald, and it ended up being Aaron Donald once again. And
that's the one I probably the least agree with. I will say. I think this year, I don't think it should have been Aaron Donald this year. I don't know if he's already at that point, like that J.J. Watt level of mythos, where if he plays and he plays at his usual level, he just automatically gets the votes. I don't think he was the best defensive player in the league this year. I don't think he should have. That's the one award I kind of have to like make an objective disagreement with. Of course, I picked Fred Warner, who was a long shot because of his position, not because he's not the best. But I think it should have been T.J. Watt. T.J. Watt should have won this award this year, and But, okay, people believe Aaron Donald had a better season. I would not agree with that, but that's really the one award where I would kind of have a problem with.
Yep. And I guess we could get to the MVP here. You, of course, picked Aaron Rodgers. And I did make the caveat. I mean, I picked Josh Allen in the end, but I knew that it was going to be Aaron Rodgers. And I made the statement that it needs to be Aaron Rodgers for the sake of the credibility of the NFL. If they would have went with Patrick Mahomes, it would have been devastating to the credibility.
Would it have been devastating if it was Allen?
Maybe, but over the second half of the season, Josh Allen played much better than Patrick Mahomes. Out of these three guys, I still have the totals here. 48 touchdowns for Rodgers, 47 for Allen, 40 for Patrick Mahomes. Passer ratings, 121. I guess, Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen had about the same passer ratings. But Patrick Mahomes had an 89 passer rating in the month of December. He was falling off in the entire second half of the season, and it got worse and worse each month. So yeah, I would have felt better about it being Josh Allen, but for the credibility of the NFL, they made the right pick, and he won in a landslide. So. Oh
yeah, for sure. He got 44 votes. Josh Allen got 4. Patrick Mahomes got 2.
Derrick Henry got 9.
He got none. Only those 3 guys. Represents it pretty well because Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes were a lot closer to each other than either of them were to Aaron Rodgers, especially if we consider this is the most valuable player, not the best stats player, not the most winning player. This is about the player individually, and at its core, this is my favorite award if it were kept to its true self, because this highlights the player and only the player. This is why Aaron Rodgers should win this award every year if it were fair, or we're sticking true to his core, because we should consider, if we look at the results, what they have been dealing with. And Aaron Rodgers playing with a full high school team, and Jair Alexander, sometimes Devontae Adams, if he decides to show up. And still, leading the league in stats and in performance. I mean, he's clearly the best, the most valuable player. Mm-hmm. So definitely deserve to win that award. We'll see how it looks next year. What we should do, of course, maybe over the coming weeks in one of those shows, is make some really early bold predictions for the NFL honors next year, because I have some ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Got some.
Do you want to go ahead and make some picks for next year?
Let's do that on another show. Let's not do that today because I'll have to write them down. But I have some good ideas already. I will leave it at that.
Okay.
But then we're gonna end the show here. Let us know in the comments your opinions on the season, the Super Bowl, and the NFL honors, and if you want to some early bold predictions for next year. But it's draft season. It's officially draft season, so can't wait until that talk starts, because it's kind of the first dog days of the off season. Now we don't have an XFL this year, so we have to be patient for a bit, watch basketball, and then we get the draft, and after that we'll have to watch baseball for a few months, which is gonna be, or even go outside. Yeah, it's gonna be very tough time.
Yeah, it is.
Summer is the worst for football.
It really is.
At least the weather's nice. So thank you everybody for watching, sticking with us throughout the season. We're gonna be covering stuff throughout the off season. More draft coverage also coming up. So make sure to subscribe to the channel. Now is the best time to do it. As we'll keep up the content and opinions on the season. So thank you for watching, everybody, and we're gonna see you in the next one.
Deuces.